look at your calendar and list out all the different events, everything that you saw that happened, all the different events, the conditions, the circumstances, the conversations that you were part of, just everything. Make a long list. And then next to each event, write down, again, without the criticism and judgment, how did you react? How are you reacting to that event? Describe your reaction. Describe the emotion in that reaction. Describe your thought pattern about the way that you were thinking through that reaction. This is going to tell you everything that you need to know about your concept of self. And once you have that clear idea as to what your self concept is right now, then you can work to elevate it, to create the next level of your self concept. Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. And in this video, we are going to study chapter 2 of Neville Goddard's Power of Awareness. I'm going to start here just by reading from the top of the chapter, and then I'm going to expound and share my thoughts and perspectives as I go along. And at the very end of the video, as I usually do, I'm going to share a practical exercise that you can put into practice immediately to begin to apply Neville Goddard's law of assumption. So here we go. Chapter 2, Power of Awareness, Consciousness. He starts by saying this: it is only by a change of consciousness, by actually changing your concept of yourself, that you can build more stately mansions, the manifestations of higher and higher concepts. By manifesting is meant experiencing the results of these concepts in your world. And I think that the word manifesting gets thrown around a lot. Sometimes I think there's a little bit of a weird connotation that's attached to it. So I love to look at Neville's definition and explanation for the word manifesting right inside of chapter 2 of Power of Awareness. He says, by manifesting is meant experiencing the results of these concepts in your world. So you're conjuring up these ideas, these concepts, the things that you want to achieve. And when you experience them in your external physical 3D world, that is by definition manifesting. He continues, it is of vital importance to understand clearly just what consciousness is. The reason lies in the fact that consciousness is the one and only reality. It is the first and only cause substance of the phenomena of life. Nothing has existence for man save through the consciousness he has of it. Therefore, it is to consciousness you must turn, for it is the only foundation on which the phenomena of life can be explained. If we accept the idea of a first cause, it would follow that the evolution of that cause could never result in anything foreign to itself. That is, if the first cause substance is light, all its evolutions, fruits, and manifestations would remain light. The first cause substance being consciousness, all its evolutions, fruits, and phenomena must remain consciousness. All that could be observed would be a higher or lower form or variation of the same thing. In other words, if your consciousness is the only reality, it must also be the only substance. Consequently, what appears to you as circumstances, conditions, even material objects is really only the product of your own consciousness. This idea here, just stepping out of the book for just a second, is really powerful and important. What I also love in Neville's writing, I think this is one of the things that drew me to Neville's work in the first place, is the way he speaks in absolutes, saying things like consciousness is the one and only reality, the first and only cause substance, saying nothing has existence for man save through the consciousness he has of it. I think it's so powerful that he is speaking in these absolutes, because to me, it really helps to drill home the magnitude of what he's saying and the importance of what he's saying, helping you to understand that there are no exceptions, that when he's saying these statements, there aren't these other instances where this statement is not true. I find his writing and his explanations here really powerful because of the fact that he's speaking in these absolutes. So let's continue on here. Consequently, what appears to you as circumstances, conditions, and even material objects is really only the product of your own consciousness. So I want you to think about a circumstance in your life right now, a set of conditions that are true in your life, maybe that aren't favorable, that aren't desirable, that aren't exactly what you want. What Neville is saying here is that Even those circumstances, the conditions which to you currently appear to be real, they're really only the product of your own consciousness. They are the effect and not the cause. And the cause of those circumstances, of those conditions, or those material objects is your consciousness. Therefore, in order to shift those circumstances, if you want the circumstances or the conditions to be different, you only need to look to shifting your consciousness, or later on, as he talks about here in a couple minutes, you only need to look to rearrange your mind or to recreate your self-concept. Let's continue on here. Nature, then, as a thing or a complex of things external to your mind, must be rejected. You and your environment cannot be regarded as existing separately. You and your world are one. Again, speaking in these absolutes. You and your environment cannot be regarded as existing separately. You and your world are one. Therefore, you must turn from the objective appearance of things to the subjective center of things, which is your consciousness, if you truly desire to know the cause of the phenomena of life and how to use this knowledge to realize your fondest dreams. He says, in the midst of the apparent contradictions, antagonisms, and contrast of your life, there is only one principle at work, only your consciousness operating. Again, really simplifying this idea, speaking in absolutes, and helping the reader, you and me, to understand that there really and truly is only one cause substance of absolutely everything that you're experiencing in your life. He continues on, difference does not consist in variety of substance, but in variety of arrangement of the same cause substance, your consciousness. The world moves with motiveless necessity. By this is meant that it has no motive of its own. The world around you, the external 3D world around you, has no motive of its own, but is under the necessity of manifesting your concepts. Every experience that you have, every experience that I have, I always love to personalize this. Every experience that I have is simply a result of the world around me manifesting my concept, the arrangement of my mind. And my mind is always arranged in the image of all that I believe and consent to as true. He's writing as though he's speaking to you. And when you start to take some of these powerful statements that Neville Goddard writes and speaks about, and you turn them into the first person, that my mind is always arranged in the image of all I believe and consent to as true, then they really become powerful, and that you start to personalize and finally understand the meaning of these phrases. He continues on that the rich man, poor man, beggar man, or thief are not different minds, but simply different arrangements of the same mind, in the same sense that a piece of steel, when magnetized, differs not in substance from its demagnetized state, but in the arrangement and order of its molecules. A single electron revolving in a specified orbit constitutes the unit of magnetism. When a piece of steel or anything else is demagnetized, the revolving electrons have not stopped. Therefore, the magnetism has not gone out of existence. There is only a rearrangement of the particles so that they produce no outside perceptible effect. When particles are arranged at random, mixed up in all directions, the substance is said to be demagnetized. But when particles are marshaled in ranks, so that a number of them face in one direction, the substance is a magnet. Magnetism is not generated, it is displayed. And as such, health, wealth, beauty, and genius are not created. They're only manifested by the arrangement of your mind. That is, by your concept of yourself. And your concept of yourself is all that you accept and consent to as true. What you consent to can only be discovered by an uncritical observation of your reactions to life. Your reactions reveal where you live psychologically, and where you live psychologically determines how you live here in the outer visible world. The importance of this in your daily life should be immediately apparent. The basic nature of the primal cause is consciousness, and therefore, the ultimate substance of all things is consciousness. So there you have it. That's chapter 2 of Neville Goddard's Power of Awareness. And as promised, I want to give you a specific exercise that you can immediately begin to apply in your life to start to apply some of these principles, the philosophies, and the big ideas that Neville Goddard taught for so many years and documented through all of his lectures and his books. This exercise is completely centered around your reactions to life. I want you to read this paragraph again. It says, health, wealth, beauty, and genius are not created. They're only manifested by the arrangement of your mind. That is, by your concept of yourself. Your concept of yourself is all that you accept and consent to as true. What you consent to can only be discovered by an uncritical observation of your reactions to life. So in order to really understand your current self-concept, you need to take an uncritical observation of your reactions to life. Let me say that again. In order to identify what your current concept of self is, you simply need to take an uncritical observation of your reactions to life. How are you reacting to life? What if you scan back over the past 7 days as an exercise, and here it is, and you look at the way, without criticizing it, without becoming critical or judging yourself or beating yourself up, but you simply looked at over the past 7 days, how did you react to the circumstances, the situations, the conditions, and the external events happening in your life? How did you react? Document that. Write that down. Observe it. Again, without criticism, just observe your reactions, because the way that you're reacting to your life is going to tell you everything you need to know right now about your current self-concept. And it's not until you understand your current self-concept that you can actively work to create a new one, that you can actively work to elevate and expand your self-concept. This is truly a fundamental and foundational step for you to expand your concept of self, to elevate your concept of self. Do this exercise as soon as possible. Do this tonight before you go to bed. Scan back to the last week in your life, and without criticism, document, write down the way that you are reacting to the conditions, the circumstances, the events happening in your life over the past 7 days. One thing that could really help you in getting clear on what happened in your life over the past 7 days is if you have a calendar, a diary, somewhere where you log the events day to day in your life, go back through those 7 days, look at your calendar, and list out all the different events, everything that you saw that happened, all the different events, the conditions, the circumstances, the conversations that you were part of, just everything. Make a long list. And then next to each event, write down, again, without the criticism and judgment, how did you react? How are you reacting to that event? Describe your reaction. Describe the emotion in that reaction. Describe your thought pattern about the way that you were thinking through that reaction. How are you physically reacting to those events? This is going to tell you everything that you need to know about your concept of self as it is currently. And once you have that clear idea as to what your self-concept is right now, then you can work to elevate it, to create the next level of your self-concept. So that's it, everyone. Thank you for watching. If you haven't done so already, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, turn on that notification bell, and I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and just share with me the number one thing that you have learned so far in the power of awareness. What's your biggest takeaway, your biggest learning lesson from Neville Goddard's Power of Awareness? I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.